Hey.
Hmm? Yeah.
Sorry. It's simple.
What? No.
I see. Huh?
Well...
What?
We're in this together. Hmm?
It worked. Right.
Let's go!
All right.
Why doesn't female Morgan exist in the main playthrough's universe? Welcome back to the Fire Emblem Awakening playthrough. Last time, some things happened. Maleficar now possesses the emblem, and Lucina had an opportunity to undo this fanfiction forever by slaying Mary Sue, but due to Mary Sue's manipulations, Lucina couldn't go through with it, and thus we have to handle things ourselves. Our next destination is the Dragon's Table, but we're going to have to get through quite a few... Yeah, we have a few more obstacles in our way. This upcoming chapter is actually one of my favorites in the game, conceptually, and I'm really, really eager to talk about it. I've been looking forward to getting to this chapter for a very long time. But first, we have some supports. Jerome and Lucina got their C support from the last chapter, and Gaius and Libra got a C support. No other supports, though. Now, like I've said, the main reason why I'm supporting Jerome and Lucina is because in supplementary materials and the audio dramas, Jerome does get ship teased with Lucina a lot. It seems like they're the closest thing the second generation has to a hinted-at canon pairing.
I'm so sorry.
This support, though, is actually very short, but it reveals something very, very important. Thank you for what?
What?
Exactly.
Huh?
Here is the thing, and this is probably why this pairing is hinted at so much. So Lucina's mask, when she disguised as Marth, that came from Jerome.
Very well.
No.
And that's the entire support. But we have found out from that where Lucina's mask came from, and that's a good thing to know. Anyway, Gaius and Libra C, this is a support that I'd never really got before.
Oh, yeah?
So there's a doll.
Yep.
Well, at least a doll wasn't found in a destroyed village or something, like always tends to happen whenever there are dolls in war stories.
No.
No, that would make it a goddess icon, and we'd be saving that to boost someone's luck if it was falling behind. And here I think this is the first mention we've had so far of Libra working at an orphanage. This is another parallel to Lucius in Fire Emblem 7. He was also a priest who had long blonde hair and looked like a girl, who he found at an orphanage after the war. Of course, there are implications that Lucius may have, later on been horribly murdered because, well... Basically, two of the characters who were implied to have grown up at Lucius's orphanage, they mentioned that the orphanage caretaker was killed, and it's not hard to put two and two together.
No.
Well, it's sort of Libra's thing to, yeah, put in this work for people he hardly knows. And, of course, everything goes back to Sweets with Gaius.
Yes.
Hey.
But hey, the orphans would probably like that.
Beg pardon. Yes.
That would take a while. Yeah. And, of course, bribery.
In Naga's name.
Gaius is kind of like Volk, except, substitute cash for sweets. But, you know what, I might as well just check the barracks. So this place is looking a lot more complete now. For every character you recruit, more items show up in the barracks, and at the point we're at, we've almost got everything. Also, I like the, if we go look here, yeah, that bunny poster over there, that was from Pan, I'm pretty sure. Hey, the Dark Draconite isn't always a complete loner. Hey, nah, you're awesome. Sigurd's Lance, I finally got that. You know, that's kind of interesting considering the chapter that we're about to go to. And this is the main reason I wanted to go to the barracks. People have been saying that some people here think that, yeah, Brady looks a bit like Frederick. I don't really see that personally. I guess the shape of the face is kind of similar, but I don't really see the hair as looking all that similar. And yeah, Brady wants to be a violinist. Oh look, it's the non-existent character and the other non-existent character. But yeah, Sigurd's Lance might end up being kind of important for the next chapter. Okay, before we go to this next chapter though, do I have a Noble Rapier in here? Yeah, I think it will be a good idea to equip that on Crom. You'll see why pretty soon. Luciana's already got a Noble Rapier. At the moment, everyone's weapons seem kind of fine, although... where are you, Owain? I might want to replace that steel sword with something a little more heroic. Maybe that soul sword. Just to make Owain even more ridiculous. And I think that's basically everything that I need to do here. Everyone else who I'm thinking of bringing to this chapter is all well equipped, so let's head out to the table approach. Well, that doesn't look good.
Huh?
And that doesn't sound good. Oh, that's really not good. Lizard always gets great dialogue in this game.
My lord.
Please tell me these scouts haven't, been brainwashed and turned into Grimleal, aka Death Dealers. Now, the Dragon's Table it's an interesting thing because this location has actually appeared earlier in the series. It was actually the location of the final chapter in Mystery of the Emblem. Yes, it is the very same place, though fan translations called it the Dragon's Altar. All the Grimleal in Pledgia. Now, seems like there are probably a lot of them, so that's not good.
What?
Well, obviously something evil, considering it's Maleficar we're talking about. Yeah, this background does look very end-of-the-world-ish.
Oh, gods, no.
Your voice clip sounded like you were giving up there.
Are you ready?
We have to fight our fate. And for a really ominous chapter, we get an amazingly ominous battlefield here. All this weird energy just flowing into this altar here, it just looks really creepy in an awesome way. And this desert with these ruins, it's like, this doesn't even look like a natural desert. It looks like a place that's been drained of all life. It just adds to the ominous atmosphere so well. But that's not the main reason I find this chapter so interesting. Also not the reason is that Aversa is in fact the boss here. You might remember her stats back all the way back in Chapter 9 when I said, yeah, Aversa's stats were a lot higher than Gangrel's back then. You could tell that something was up. Ironically, she has Gale Force and yet she can't actually move, so the skill's useless to her. But the most interesting thing about this chapter is these guys. So, we checked the enemies list and we only have 12 enemies of one faction and one boss. 13 enemies! That's way too low for a late game chapter, isn't it? Wait a minute. Why do these Risen have names? Equus, Tigris, and Anguilla, I think? Bovis, Porcus, Draco, Canis, Mus, Gallus, Lepus, Simia, Ovis? What's going on here? These aren't just normal Risen. Their stats are incredibly high, and some of them have some pretty powerful weapons, either brave weapons or things like this. Valflame seems kind of familiar to me, as does Ufel, as does Balmung, Hellswath, although I've known it by a different name most of the time, and Gungnir. These are special. These Risen are the Dead Lords, the most powerful of all Risen. And many people playing this game won't know this, but the Dead Lords are in fact a recurring thing in the Fire Emblem series. So, as I have them show off their stuff, I'll talk about them. The Dead Lords first appeared in Fire Emblem 4. There, they just appeared in the final chapter with absolutely no explanation at all. You had no idea what they were, where they came from. They were just kind of there, and they were just the last wave of enemies you had to fight before the final chapter, and that was basically it. They were extremely powerful though, and some of them had the blood of Crusaders in them, which seemed kinda strange, since that was mainly a thing of your army. Then in Fire Emblem 5, the Dead Lords were explained a bit more. You fought a few of them in the final chapter, but what was most interesting was that if you didn't recruit certain characters throughout the game, or if you let them die, they would become Dead Lords in the final chapter. So the implication there was that the Dead Lords are in fact made from the resurrected corpses of ancient heroes, or not so ancient in the case of your own party members. Also, Anguilla is really interesting here because most of the Dead Lords just use generic Risen portraits, but Anguilla is a female Dark Knight, and that's a generic portrait that we haven't seen yet, and I think Anguilla is the only generic female Dark Knight enemy in the game. Now, the Dead Lords didn't actually appear after that until this game. However, I like to think that the boss rush in the final chapter of Fire Emblem 7, where you fight Nirgal's morphs that were made in the likeness of a lot of bosses from earlier in the game, I like to think they were inspired by the Dead Lords. They are very, very similar in concept, and that chapter as a whole feels very similar to this one. Sort of a boss rush chapter in a Fire Emblem game. The Dead Lords didn't physically appear in Shadow Dragon, but in the Japanese version, the first 12 random names in the names that could be allocated to generic replacement characters who you got in your army if too many characters died were the Dead Lords' names. Also, similar to Anguilla, Simia is a female swordmaster, and this is the first time we're seeing the generic enemy female swordmaster portrait. I'm pretty sure she's the only generic female swordmaster in the game as well. Speaking of Japanese names, in the Japanese version, the Dead Lords were known as the 12 Dark Warlords, and their names were just the numbers in German. So Mus was eins, and then it just went 1, 2, 3, 5, 4, 6, 7, etc. I guess the localizers thought that wasn't intimidating enough, so they made their names now the Chinese Zodiac, but in Latin. That, unfortunately, makes them a little bit silly to anyone who actually understands what they mean, and, for example, this guy right here is Chicken. Yeah, that makes him hard to take seriously. But anyway, now that I've gone on with my history lesson, it's time to select our characters for this chapter. As you can tell, the enemies here are very, very strong. Basically, every enemy here is boss caliber in terms of stats, so we're going to need as high stats as possible. Now, normally I'd bring Lucina, but I definitely plan on using her in the next chapter, so with my whole rotating character policy, I'm not exactly going to use her here. I haven't used Gaius in a while, though, so I'm going to bring him and Yarn here. Having a high-speed characters is useful. And Beastbane is also a very useful skill here, since some of the Dead Lords are mounted. Lethality is also useful because with how powerful these enemies are, instantly killing them can be very, very useful sometimes. Definitely want someone with Fortify because we're going to be taking a lot of damage in this chapter, trust me. And, well, raw stats are important, so let's bring Donnell. And how can I not bring Owain? This is a chapter that centers on fighting the reanimated corpses of legendary heroes. It'd just be wrong to not include Owain here. Now, other characters who I'm going to use here. For some reason, I kind of want to use Inigo here because I left him out of the last chapter. And I'll bring his father along for the ride. Also, I want to bring Tharia because I want to try out her new Maya Tome. And, well, just to get some support up with Tharia as well. Also, haven't used Chell in a while, and it would be a good opportunity to get her support up with Owain a bit. Plus, you actually really want high defense characters in this chapter. Tanks are really, really useful here because a lot of these enemies hit really, really hard. And we have one more character slot, and, wait a minute, let's see who I can bring here. I need to bring Mary Sue because she has a conversation with Aversa, and it's very, very important. Let's see, Lissa, Owain, Donnie, Inigo, Noir, Chell, Gregor, Tharia, who was the last character that I need to bring? I'm sure there's someone I need to bring here. Oh, right, of course, Noe. How am I forgetting? Yeah, Donnie's waifu. I'm not bringing Nah because she's a little overpowered as it is. Where are you, Noe? There you are. So in this chapter, it's a good idea to split up your army and to, yeah, have your characters go into groups and kind of make sure that different characters are assigned to different parts of the map. Basically, these guys are, well, I'll tell you more about that when we actually start. I think these positions are pretty much fine, so let's begin the battle.
Really now?
The weird thing here is, because Maleficar is only appearing on the map for a cutscene, his HP bar is, showing that he has much less HP than Aversa. So, this whole map is just a distraction. But they can't kill Mary Sue because Maleficar needs the power of the Sue on his side.
Wait! What?
But we can change it. We will change it. Crom's not going to die this time. And we are eager to meet the Fell Dragon, so we can take him down once and for all.
Wrong!
Yes, Crom, you write the new ending. If Mary Sue wrote the new ending, things would not go so well. Either that, or the story would just end unfinished with her shouting Avada Kedavra, and then, yeah, we'd get no ending at all. Well, Crom has been saying anything can change most of this game.
What?
Well,
But we're about to find out something kind of important. Defeating Wohard and Gangrel, that was all destined to happen. We didn't change anything by taking down those two.
why, yes.
Yeah, Emmerin's death was moved forward a bit, but it still happened.
Explain.
Frederick, I think you should catch on. Who was by Gangrel's side the entire time? What they don't mention here is that Gangrel actually figured out that Aversa was just using him and sent her away before the final battle. That's why you didn't see her there in Chapter 11. This was mentioned on the Fire Emblem Awakening background website that was only released in Japanese. But even Gangrel's death played right into their hands.
Really now?
And here's why they changed the name from Dragon's Altar to Dragon's Table for this game. Okay, so all those people running forward here, they're all gonna get, presumably, their souls devoured by Grima. That's a terrifying thought. It's already happened in Lucina's future, but this is a different one.
Think again.
They're not giving their lives willingly, they're being possessed into it. And here's another big reveal. Yeah, the reason why Wellheart was trying to take over the continent? He wanted to take down Grima himself. He knew Grima was coming, and he thought the only way to stop him was to unite the entire continent by conquering everything, so he could have an army big enough to defeat Grima.
Really?
And that's why they didn't give us any soldiers.
Now then.
They wanted us to defeat Wellheart. He was their enemy all along.
Why, yes.
Granted, Wellheart was pretty much our enemy too, and I don't think it's that bad that we actually got rid of him, but...
Wait!
Our confrontation with Maleficent will have to
Bother.
wait. Our confrontation this time was with the Deadlords. They were great warriors in life, and now even greater in death. Or were they? I contest that, because some of their legendary weapons have been heavily nerfed over the years. Well, technically we can just rush and defeat Aversa, but where's the fun in that? Also, we have this music. Haven't heard this since that weird dream I had. Anyway, it's save time. And I had to restart this because I forgot Maya on Tharia, despite the fact that I wanted to show it off in this chapter, so that was stupid. Okay, obviously we're going to pair up here. Without pair-ups, this chapter is incredibly difficult because these enemies have very, very high stats, a lot of good skills, brave weapons. They are really dangerous. Especially Canis. You need to watch out for Canis. This Valflame Tome, this hurts a lot. +5 magic, and with that much power, and with the resistance stats of most characters, we should fear this tome, especially seeing as... You might remember this as Farlar Flame if you played fan translations of Fire Emblem 4. This is the legendary tome of the Crusader Farlar, later wielded by Arvis, and this tome... It's killed a lord in the past, so we really should be afraid of it. But I think Donald's good enough to tank it. Just gonna put him here, mostly because he's able to tank Porcus so well. Yeah, if you don't have decent defense, Porcus is very, very dangerous. Moose is dangerous all the time because of his massive strength in that Brave Lance. Draco is dangerous too, but we'll deal with them later. You might remember Ufel as Ishival if you played Fire Emblem 4's fan translation. This is another one of the legendary weapons of the Fire Emblem 4 region. And it is pretty insanely powerful, especially backed by Bowfair and yeah. Thankfully though, the Fire Emblem 4 legendary weapons have been heavily nerfed in terms of their stat boosts from that game. Good, because this thing would have given +10 strength and +10 speed back then. But even worse would have been this thing, Hellswath. Now, this is probably one of my favorite localization renames in this game. This was called Swanchika back in Fire Emblem 4. I'm not entirely sure why it was called that, actually. But this is the legendary axe wielded by the Crusader Nair, I believe, from that game. It's a massively powerful axe with 1 to 2 range, and it gives +5 defense. In its original incarnation, it gave +20 defense! So yeah, good thing it's been nerfed. Although with the removal of weapon weight, it's actually a bit better because now it doesn't totally kill the user's speed. We also have Gungnir, the legendary weapon of the Crusader Dane from Fire Emblem 4, named after the Lance of Odin, which apparently was said to never miss and to always kill its target. Yeah, we need to just hope it doesn't work like that in this game. Well, certainly won't work like that against Yarn because he's amazing. Putting Yarn here because of Beastbane against all three of these mounted Deadlords over on this side. Yeah, note how Anguilla's face is a little more pale than the others, due to her portrait being fairly unique. Now, who else should come in here? I don't want to put anyone else in range, so I'm just going to have Inigo go over here. Rally skill. Rally skills in general are really, really useful in this chapter, because we're going to be fighting enemies with extremely high stats. And rally skills really, really help in putting your stats a little bit more on their level. Probably should have rallied the magic of Thario, but oh well. Speaking of which, let's see that Maya Tome in action. Unlike for enemies, Maya doesn't kill your movement range for equipping it, though its accuracy leaves a lot to be desired. You can see the full range I've got here, and as you can also tell here, you'll notice that Noir's chance of a dual strike here is 0%. Like I mentioned before, Maya cancels out the user's ability to, well, cancels out the user's partner's ability to dual strike. Maya also cannot double attack, no matter how high your speed is. And of course that would miss. Okay, here they come. This is why I put Donald here. Anyone else would have taken enormous damage from this brave sword. But nice dual guard there, Noe. However, just dual guarding one hit of a brave weapon does not guarantee you'll dual guard both of them. They're both treated as separate. Now, yeah, that Gungnir hurts a lot, so that's painful. Thankfully it missed. Huh. Guess that whole thing about it never missing was a lie.
Wait, I won?
Should have equipped a better weapon on Gaius, but that still did pretty well. This battlefield, I really like the way this battlefield looks though, it's just so amazing. And we actually get Gungnir, though I'll save that for later since we don't really need that now. So here, yeah, Valflame, 39 damage to Donald of all people. And yeah, it basically just makes the air around you explode. Well, they've bunched themselves up. This could be a problem. Okay, first things first. I really, 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 really want Canis gone. And I'm wondering if I'd be able to take out... I'll need to get lucky with dual strikes to take Porcus down, but let's hope that I can. Do want to watch out for Draco with Ufel. No, that's not going to help you finish this guy off. Please get a dual strike. There we go. And you know what? I knew that would miss. Well then. So yeah, that's a ×4. That's painful. And Noe gets doubled by Valflame. Yeah. If you get doubled by Valflame, and it's not that hard considering how high Canis' speed is, you are capital D dead. Ugh, Gregor not dual striking there is really, really, really bad. I mean, Gregor missing his dual strike there. Everyone seems to be activating Soul here, though. Because there is absolutely no way that I'm exposing Tharia to the middle there, because she's probably going to get doubled by Valflame too. Speaking of getting doubled, Ufel's +5 speed bonus means that Draco is going to double pretty much everyone, so you want to be careful of that. As you can see here, Noir doesn't even double Canis here. I can actually attempt to hit Draco with the longbow. And I don't double, obviously. Huh. Guess this could maybe work. Tharia still has Maya equipped, doesn't she? But she can dual strike with it, so you can't dual strike with Myra as your primary weapon, but you can dual strike it with it, yeah, if you've got it equipped and you're a dual strike partner. Now for these enemies. I'm particularly worried about Tigris, although Anguilla hurts a lot too. Bovis with that brave bow is pretty bad as well. The annoying thing about Tigris, though, is he always has counter, so we don't want to attack him from close range. Attacking him from a distance is definitely the way to go, but Hellswath is in fact a long-range weapon, so you can still get hit by it when attacking from long range. Hopefully this is enough to take him down, though. Definitely better than attacking him physically, because, yeah, that counter is bad. Very bad. Especially considering how much HP he's got. The cool thing about these Yggdrasil, that's how I pronounce it, because it's spelled with a J, but it's named after Yggdrasil, the world tree from Norse mythology. That's the region Fire Emblem 4 takes place in. The Yggdrasil legendary weapons actually look exactly like their official artwork depicted them in that game, which is really awesome. Also, fun fact about Hellswath, of all people, Shersha's official artwork depicts her using Hellswath. It's pretty amazing. Speaking of amazing, let's see if Owain the Absolutely Amazing can take down. Yeah, I'd rather obliterate Anguilla with the Beast Stone Plus. Anguilla hurts quite a lot. Anguilla of the Deadlords has always been female in most of her appearances. I think she was a mage fighter back in Fire Emblem 4. Think of that as Dark Knight except not mounted. And so she's a Dark Knight here. Most of the classes of the Deadlords in this game reflect what they are similar to what they were in their original appearances. Only a couple of them have changed. Like, for example, Lepus up here, I think they were a high priest in the original. If I remember correctly, Lepus in the original Fire Emblem 4 was kind of ridiculous. She had some really annoying skill combos. You may be a legendary hero from the past, resurrected, but a legendary hero from the present is far superior to you. You can see the dragon's table in the background there, looking all ominous. And that just leaves Lissa, and only Donald is slightly hurt, but, you know what, better safe than sorry, I'm going to physic him, because Val Flame is painful. Especially considering that it's possible Donnie could get hit by all three of these Deadlords in this turn. Yeah, that Brave Lance is painful. Not only that, but Mus is incredibly tanky, and always has Pavese, so attacking him with physical weapons is not exactly the best way to go.
You like dragons?
Well, he does, because he's kind of immune to that kind of damage. Well, at least Ufel is not doubling Donnie. Apologies for the brief cut there. My hard drive actually just ran out of memory, so I had to quickly delete some files, and ouch! Oh, you're gonna regret that! You're really gonna regret that!
Is it over?
Finally, we get to see a non-useless vengeance. Nice one. And with that, we reclaim Arvis's legendary tome. Timeless Fire Magic, Magic +5. It gave +10 to Magic, I believe, Magic Skill, Defense, and Resistance in the original Fire Emblem 4, so like +10 to all of those. Yeah, the Fire Emblem 4 legendary weapons were kind of stupidly powerful back then. Now, it's generally best to attack Mus with magic or bows, because his Pavese skill makes using physical attacks kind of a problem. Unfortunately, Mary Sue can't really reach over to him. Though, Lissa is doubling him. Transferring Chrom I don't think would boost Lissa's magic, though. But I can rally. Yeah, let's have Lissa actually get some action here. Everyone in our army is a hero, even the one who started out as a healer.
Right.
Farewell, Mus. He doesn't drop a weapon for us. Back in Fire Emblem 5, Mus was the only one of the Deadlords who was always going to be a character you met earlier in the story, resurrected. All the others, it was...
This is your last dance.
And nice one, Inigo. That was not a kill, though. But that was...
Thanks.
All the others only happened if you screwed up, but Moose was the resurrected corpse of one of the villains who you actually only fought really recently to the final chapter, so you would always end up fighting, In fact, that guy's in this game as Spot Pass. It's Raedric. He'd get resurrected as Moose in the final chapter. For all we know, Raedric still is Moose. He's been like that for thousands of years. Yeah, that's a pretty disturbing thought. But anyway, that initial batch of Deadlords are down. Now we just have the next set. And out of them, the most dangerous by far is Simia, who has the Balmung. Apparently Balmunk with a C is the correct spelling of this weapon. It's another Norse mythology weapon, but we're lucky it gives only speed plus 5 here, because in the original Fire Emblem 4, it gave speed plus 20. Yeah, it basically made the user completely unhittable. It was in fact the only reason that Shannon was actually good, because... and I'm not going to heal Noir because I want that vengeance damage. So yeah, Shannon was the legendary hero who was destined to use the Balmung. And I should have rallied. Basically, it was, made him kind of ridiculous, but if anyone else could use it, he would have been useless, because his growths overall were not actually that good. Anyway, Yarn does not want to attack the enemy magic users, so what I want here is, I'm going to lure these enemies, well, I can't lure them one at a time, they all rush at us, but I want to lure Simia first. What you want to use against Simia is someone with high defense. She's basically going to double, well, almost anyone, and with Swordfare and a legendary sword, she does a heck of a lot of damage. The best defense against her is, well, defense. So, yeah, I like having raw tankiness against her. So I'm going to bring Shell here. As for who else, actually, let's try and mire someone. Who's in range? Lepus is not exactly the best candidate for it. Can I get in range of... I could try and... try being the key word to hit Simia. I'm not sure if I can get into range of... I can get in range of... Chicken Man, but I won't be able to hit him because he has Tonebreaker. So my best shot here is probably against... Yeah, I'll go for you. This is probably going to be completely ineffectual, but... And it wasn't, okay. Slight damage. The thing with Maya is it only has 10 uses, so if you've got a Dark Mage with Arms Thrift, definitely give it to them. So you're doubling, they're only doing 9 damage, and getting Chill Guarded. That's a lot better than Owain would only get hit once, but it would do over 20 damage, so definitely better to use Chell here. You might notice that even with a Weapon Triangle advantage, though I only have like a 70-something percent, why did I say 30? 70-something percent chance of actually hitting her. Her evasion is kind of crazy, so... High hit rates, very, very good. Speaking of crazy evasion, Chicken Man's evasion is crazy in the exact opposite direction. Firstly, though, I want to finish off Ovis and Simia. Ovis is actually really painful. He may not actually have the Forseti Tome, but he's still brutally powerful with that forged weapon that he's got. But let's get some vengeance on him. We need some blood and thunder up in this thing. And playtime's over. Goodbye, Ovis. You are one of the most threatening of these Deadlords, I'd say, besides Simia. She's kind of ridiculous. You've wasted 2 uses of your Balmung. I don't like you for that, and I'm going to destroy you. But first, Lepus is definitely one you want to prioritize the least here, because she's more of a healer. She's kind of useless on her own. She does have a Silver Axe and pretty decent strength for a War Cleric, but overall, she's not the deadliest of the Deadlords. Speaking of deadly, that could be bad if they both hit, but Inigo has good luck against waste users, so let's have him attack now.
This is your last dance.
Well, let's hope it is Chicken Man's last dance. Okay, good, he'll survive this. And he'll more than survive, but it's not Chicken Man's last dance. You know what? Yarn's kind of getting overpowered here. Let's see. That's a fairly decent hit rate. But it's actually not going to be a kill, so I have to use Yarn. Yeah, the regular Beastone has a higher hit rate, and that's actually not what's important, because that regular Beastone won't one-shot. I need to use the Beastone Plus. Here we go. Simia is down. Female Swordmaster with the Balmung, though, for all we know, that could have been Larcey. Or Ira. Probably not Ira, though, because Ira didn't have major Holy Blood. Speaking of which, yeah, you don't need to worry about a Holy Blood in this game. Anyone can use these weapons now. I guess they've lost their power from the days of, yeah, Sigurd and Salif's time. Which is kind of annoying, but, still. Yeah, Shell can finish this one. Don't use any magic uses against Gallus, because he is pretty resilient against them with Tomebreaker. Goodbye, Chicken Man, you will not be missed. It's a bit of a weird level up, but I'll take it. And yeah, alone, Lepus is really not all that powerful. Again, I remember Lepus having a kind of ridiculous skill set. I'm pretty sure she still had Miracle back then, but with Fire Emblem 4 Miracle, it was... Fire Emblem 4 Miracle was kind of brutal. Of course, we don't want to use magic against Lepus because her resistance is insane, but her physical defense is actually pretty decent too. Technically, Donnie has the least experience here, but, well, let's be real here. He's actually much higher level than us internally. Thankfully, Lepus has no one left to heal, so that Recover Staff is going to be going to us at full uses. And that was pretty amazing. And it's a dark, dark day for us all when Mary Sue surprises herself. You know what? Can Noe do this? She gets double, but she won't need to be because she's going to always hit and finish off Lepus.
I'm here.
And down.
Yes!
All 13 dead... Well, all 12 dead lords. Aversa's not a dead lord. Not yet. 12 dead lords are down. Gives us the Recover Staff. And speaking of the Recover Staff, some staff experience for Lissa might be useful here. But this chapter's now basically just a leisurely stroll up to Aversa. There is a whole ton of desert terrain around her, so mounted units are going to have a problem there. But since Aversa herself doesn't move, it's really not much of a problem. And since you can very easily lure the other Deadlords out of the desert... Yes, she always makes weird spasmy movements, for some reason. I guess that's what studying dark magic will do to you. Now, I'm going to focus on... Also, by the way, Yarn is now max on level, so I'm wondering what to reclass into. I'm kind of leaning towards Berserker if he has the option. Because I don't really have anyone who's a Berserker, and that'd give me the opportunity to show off a couple of male-exclusive skills. Now, speaking of exclusive, Aversa here has two special boss conversations. One with Crom and one with the Avatar. You want to get these conversations because they reveal some really important plot details that you would miss out on if you didn't. Now, personally, my favourite way to do this is to simply have Crom just hang back here and stay within 2 range of Aversa, so she goes for him when he can't counter her, and thus preserves her life long enough for the Avatar to attack her. So, we have this new boss theme as well, and prepare for some very long boss conversations.
Oh.
So if you didn't fight Aversa with Crom, you don't get this dialogue, and you don't find out why Aversa follows Maleficar.
Well...
He's a father to her.
What?
Oh no! There's another Sue! Now there are 3 of them! Actually they're not blood relatives, thankfully. Maleficar raised Aversa. I guess that... well... She was once poor and orphaned, and Maleficent took her in. Poor girl, if only someone else had taken her in, she wouldn't have turned into an evil villain. But, well, you know, with Maleficent for a parent... I mean, the Avatar's technically Maleficent's child as well, but they weren't raised by him, so they didn't have to, be forced into being evil. It's kind of sad, really. He's definitely not, well, by far, one of the worst fathers that she could have, but, he's all she has, so she has to fight for him. As much as it's like, you know, she's been mentally conditioned by him her whole life, so she doesn't really question anything, it still begs the question, there's no possible reason to help someone who wants to destroy the world. It's like that quote from the movie, why would you possibly want to destroy the world? What could you have to gain from it? Villain guy, I don't understand the question. There's really only one RPG I know of where a character actually asks a destroy the world villain, what would you possibly have to gain from destroying the world? And it actually makes the villain go, wait a minute, you actually have a point. I won't say what the RPG that is, because it's kind of a spoiler. Her own blood's evil. And yet another Emerin, guess I could call that an Emerinism. But, yeah. I guess killing Maleficent would be like Emerin's death was to us for Aversa. And now he fights. Aversa's armed with, Goetia, the ultimate Dark Tome. We can't actually get it at this point in the game, though. All she drops is a goddess icon. Also, she has this skill, Shadow Gift, which Dark Flyers, despite the name, normally can't use dark magic, but with this skill, Aversa can. And I still have Superior Jolt on Mary Sue for a reason, because it's very, very useful here. Something else that's useful here, because Aversa is a flyer, the Noble Rapier. Also, speaking of that, we actually got the Ufel, the legendary bow, handed to us on a silver platter, and if you give that to one of your archers with an A rank in bows, Aversa is a complete and total joke. But I'm not going to do it that way, because that's kind of, you know... it makes things too easy. But I am going to rally everything. And I rally Crom and not Mary Sue. Wait, do the rallies still apply to Mary Sue? I don't think they do, actually. Although they might. Actually, they do. That's doing more damage. So anyway, time for the second conversation, and this one's also really important. Here we go.
Hey.
So for some reason, the Avatar brings up Excellus, even though they didn't have very much interaction with him. I guess they were both tacticians.
Why, yes.
Oh, burn. You have a point there. Nobody deserves to be lumped in with Excellus. And, yep, we figured this out before from the mention of Aversa's name, but Excellus was another one of her pawns. And yeah, Excellus's purpose was to cause chaos within the Valmese Empire so that if we failed to defeat Walhart, his own empire would have destroyed himself. Of course, Excellus himself was kind of, they severely underestimated just how stupid he was, and I don't think he could have been a threat to Walhart even if he tried, so even then, this probably would have failed, and Aversa would have had to have taken matters into her own hands. Speaking of which, it is technically possible to complete Chapter 20 without killing Excellus, since it's not a route mission. I like to think that if that happens, Aversa would have murdered him off-screen, because, well, yeah, he would have just been a loose end. Yeah, this line I actually think almost implies that if you didn't kill Excellus back then, Aversa probably would have killed him off-screen.
Well...
So, apparently Aversa's whole thing about wanting hands on the Fire Emblem Aversa promised him the Pledgian throne. I feel so bad for the people of Pledgia. The last king they had over the course of this game was kind of crazy. Their current king is even more crazy and evil. I mean, he's like a Disney villain. And then Aversa went and promised the throne to that guy. Oh, I feel so bad for the people of Pledgia right now. And this line right here, not only is it, well, one of the most, questionable lines in this game, and probably with a reason this game has a bit of a higher rating than other Fire Emblem games, but this line here heavily implies that Excellus is a eunuch, so, yeah, that's all I'll say on that. This line, yeah, I mean this line. So yeah, Excellus being a bit different in the respect that Aversa mentioned before. Yeah, they're heavily implying that Excellus lacked a certain part of the male anatomy. Yeah. At least Aversa has some kind of perverse form of family love that she's fighting for. Excellus was just out for himself, and because he liked causing suffering on other people, and, well, because he was a hideous abomination.
You're finished.
Nice boast there.
Really now?
Uh-oh. Yeah, Maleficent told her not to harm Mary Sue, but questioning Aversa's position as the favourite child, looks like she's going against his orders.
Huh?
I don't know what ripen means, though. There's no need for us to hold back either. Let's do this.
Checkmate.
Have another.
That could have felt that.
As you can tell by the lack of a dramatic cutout of the music here, and all major antagonists get that when they die, and Aversa didn't get it here, this is not the last we'll be seeing of Aversa. She is not dead. She'll be coming back later, so if you thought that battle was anticlimactic, it was for a reason. But we get an actual goddess icon. And, okay, Thyra and Noir got the thing there. Yeah, she got away. But Maleficent's evil plan is almost complete.
It's all right.
Lucina's dark future is about to happen. We're all that stands between Maleficent and the succession of his evil plan. Next time on Fire Emblem Awakening. It's time for the fated moment. Invisible ties. For real this time.